That was for you. Today, the House is going to put on the president's desk a bill that repeals Obamacare and defunds Planned Parenthood. This is the first time in 5 years we will finally put a bill on the president's desk that defunds Obamacare. For years, Senate Democrats have been blocking and filibustering these bills. This is too important to let up. So we have used the one tool that we can each year, reconciliation, to get a repeal bill on his desk. With this bill, we are standing for life. We are confronting the president with the hard, honest truth. Obamacare doesn't work. Higher premiums and fewer choices and restricted access, these are not signs of success. Obamacare is not successful. They are signs of failure. And the American people deserve better. The people deserve a truly patient-centered health care system. And ultimately, this is going to require a Republican president. That's why our top priority in 2016 is going to be offering the country a clear choice with a bold pro-growth agenda. We know the president wants to fill this year with distractions. He wants to talk about anything but his failures. We're not going to let him take us off course. Too much is at stake. If we're ever going to get our country back on track, we need to make this year about ideas, not about Obama's distractions. And that is exactly what we're going to do.
Happy New Year and welcome back. I want to emphasize what the Speaker talked about. What the Speaker said is many times it's been blocked by the Democrats. Even though the Democrats tried to block, they still had to hear from their constituents of the broken promises that the president made. If you liked your health care, you could keep it. So your premiums would go down when they went up. They also, the Democrats, they sat there and tried to block it, but they joined us bipartisan when we wanted to delay the medical device tax or when they wanted to delay the Cadillac. So one thing you've found is they know as well Obamacare does not work. So yes, today is a different day. Today is the day that he'll come to his desk, that he'll have to make a decision, not just on Obamacare, but the funding of Planned Parenthood, after many of us and millions have watched those horrific videos. So it is a new year, a new day, and as the Speaker said, it's going to be a new agenda to make sure America is confident again.
Today's going to be an important day in the House where we finally have the opportunity to pass a bill that will end up on President Obama's desk that guts Obamacare and that defunds Planned Parenthood. This is something we set out to do in 2015 at the beginning of this Congress. We said we're going to pass a budget for the first time in years, actually get a reconciliation process between the House and the Senate where we can use this tool that you only get once a year with narrow constraints, but with a powerful ability to get a bill to the president's desk with 51 votes in the Senate, not 60 where the Senate can filibuster, where Harry Reid can filibuster, but where we can actually move important policy to the president's desk. And we made a commitment as Republicans that we would focus on Obamacare. And then, of course, as the year went on, the country saw the horrific videos and what Planned Parenthood was doing to use taxpayer money to sell body parts. And we said we're going to put that in the bill as well. And the tools allowed us to do it. And we worked very closely with the pro-life movement. This is an important victory for the pro-life movement, as well as for conservatives all across the country who want to see the president confronted with a bill that not only guts Obamacare, makes him confront the problems that Americans are facing all around the country with his failed law, but also the ability then to defund Planned Parenthood as well, and have record votes in the House and Senate, but also have a bill on the president's desk that he has to decide whether he's going to sign or veto. So it's going to be an important vote in the House today. It's going to be an important decision for the president to confront, where he can't change the subject, talk about other issues like he tries to do with gun control and other things. He's going to actually have to confront this issue, and that bill will be on his desk because of the work that was initiated by the House, this House majority, to get to the president's desk.
Good morning, everyone. It was great to be home over Christmas. And in 2016, it's our opportunity as Republicans to lay out the choice for the American people. And it's really a choice between two different futures. One is a future that is driven by the status quo, by top-down policies. The other is one that is driven by bold ideas, that is going to empower people, open up America for new futures, and it's solutions that are driven from the bottom up. Next week at our Republican retreat, it's really our opportunity to go to work on this, and we're going to be working on an agenda for the people, produced by the people's representatives. So whether you're a student who's struggling in school, a business owner who's trying to figure out how to expand, a veteran in need of care, you should be trusted to make your own decisions, and you should have the freedom to pursue your own dreams. That's the kind of agenda that we will be building for 2016.
Thanks, Michael. Today, the House will send the reconciliation bill to the President, finally heeding the call of thousands and thousands of Kansans who have written, emailed, and called my office asking for us to save them from the negative consequences of the President's health care law. But this bill goes even further to help folks who are struggling. It also halts federal funding for organizations that provide abortions, and it redirects that money to community health centers so that women and children can obtain health services closer to home, and it prioritizes additional funds for mental health needs. The President must now decide, will he join us in fighting for those who have been hurt by Obamacare's penalizing regulations, fighting for those who can't fight for themselves, and fighting for our community health centers that provide critical care for our neighbors? Or will he veto this bill to try to protect his own legacy?
Good morning. I'm Bruce Westerman. I'm a freshman member from Arkansas, and I serve on the Budget Committee. I'd like to thank Speaker Ryan not only for his leadership as Speaker, but for the hard work he put in as Chairman of the Budget Committee in the past, and also to Chairman Price for his leadership on the Budget Committee and the Budget Committee staff. Today is an exciting day when we're going to get to see the process of reconciliation work, where we will put a bill on the President's desk and give him the choice to support the American people or to reject the will of Congress and the will of the American people. There's a lot of good things in this bill that have already been talked about. One thing I would like to highlight is this bill does repeal Medicaid expansion. This is one of the most egregious parts of Obamacare. If you look at traditional Medicaid, it's for the aged, blind, and the disabled. Medicaid expansion is for able-bodied working-age adults. We're paying 90% to 100% of the cost for Medicaid expansion. Today's a good day. I'm excited to be a part of Congress and a part of the Republican conference. We pay 57% of the cost to states for traditional Medicaid, for the aged, blind, and disabled.
Questions?
Last night, claims from North Korea about testing a hydrogen bomb. Some talk from Senator Cotton, your colleague in the Senate, about increased sanctions. What do you think the United States response should be? And do you see parallels between North Korea doing this and the deal cut with Iran, that perhaps they feel it's acceptable to do this type of thing after the U.S. deal?
That's a good question. We don't know the facts yet. This looks like a provocation. I think this means we have to have a well-honed response with our allies on this rogue regime. So I think it's a little early to say exactly what the response ought to be until we get all of the facts at hand. But after listening with our constituents, we're looking at all of our options. Look, first of all, if you are buying and selling guns, you have to have an FFL, whether or not you do so at a gun show or anywhere else. There isn't a loophole. This is a distraction. The President clearly does not respect the Second Amendment rights for law-abiding Americans. I think it'd be nice if he would actually focus on defeating ISIS, on calling radical Islamic terrorism what it actually is, instead of talking about how we can intimidate and frustrate the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. We will look at all of our options, but we will not take this distraction for more than it is, a distraction.
Last question. Can we hear your general thoughts on the situation involving the armed protesters who are occupying a federal facility in Arizona?
This is why I asked Greg Walden to participate in this press conference. It's his district, so let me turn
I
it.
think I'll use this button. It is in my district, Harney County, Oregon. I was just on the phone with the county judge. I was on the phone with ranchers from the area till well after midnight last night. A couple of things. First of all, Americans have the right to protest. It should not take this form. The Hammonds set a backfire. They probably didn't go about it properly. It burned 139 acres. They put it out. They're now serving 5 years mandatory minimum of a sentence that the federal judge who sentenced them said would be unconscionable to levy. We need to change the federal law under which they were sentenced. We need to call on President Obama to not continue to declare monuments like he's threatening in the nearby county for 2.5 million acres. And they need to make sure that this unjust punishment on the Hammonds does not extend to the grandmother, Susie Hammond, and her ranch, and renew the grazing permits, as opposed to destroy her way of life while her husband and son are in prison. These issues are real. We have tried in the West to convey them to our colleagues, but unless you've been out there and understand, it's hard to do. And these are the ranchers in this county I know well. I've known the Hammonds for 17, 18 years. These are people who care about America, who send their sons and daughters to fight our wars and die in higher proportion than the urban areas. These people just want to take care of the environment. They really do. And it is the government that all too often ignores the law, as it has in this county repeatedly, and I can document that. And somehow we have to find a peaceful resolution here. And the takeaway has to be that there's a problem in the West, across the whole Great Basin, that has to be dealt with responsibly. But an armed takeover is not the way to go about it.
That's it. Well said.